Well, good Saturday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get over for business here, and let's wake up my football gods here on this Saturday. How's everybody doing today? It's crazy. You guys have seen me outside doing videos out at the fish pond. Yes, you have this past week. It's been cool. Well, no, actually, it's been warm. It's not been cool. It's been warm to the point where the fish are swimming around. Right now, I feel like we're in Ice Station Zebra. It ended up being like 65, 68 degrees yesterday. This morning, it's in the 20s, and it's snowing like crazy, 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts. I'm just trying to understand what the hell's going on around here. It's just literally things just change just like that. And it seems that that's the way with the Dallas Cowboys. That, you know, it's sunny there for a minute, then all of a sudden the shitstorm comes in. Excuse my language, Dad, I'm trying to do better. The crap storm comes in. So we are, like the weather, changing Amari Cooper. We had Amari Cooper, of course, Jerry Jones. It's been a whole documented saga of Jerry Jones versus Amari Cooper. It just has, okay? Jerry Jones, of course, was disappointed about him not getting the COVID shots and things, missing the 2 games, and then not being ready to really play the third. Of course, towards the end of the season, the offense went away from him. You know, we've, of course, heard, you know, people like Cole Beasley say the offense gets the ball to who they want to get it to. And it's all about politics. So, you know, that's throwing shade at Kellen Moore, which might be coming from, of course, Jerry Jones saying, I want that CD. I want that CD to get the ball. But I believe that the Amari Cooper situation was always baked in from the time he ended up getting his contract, where they put the out in, and they could have easily last year restructured his contract with less pain than with others, looking and saying, do we restructure Tyron Smith or DeMarcus Lawrence, knowing that their time is probably shorter and will cost us a lot more down the road? Or do we do Amari Cooper, which would be a lot less painful? They chose, of course, to do Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins and Zeke Elliott, in which case it made it easier to get rid of Amari Cooper. But be that as it may, of course, we ended up having the whole trashing Amari Cooper, some of the talking heads out there basically pointing to 2 plays and saying that your number 1 wide receiver is not blocking. To me, I equate that with the same thing as saying, you know what, let's get rid of Deion Sanders because, hell, he don't tackle nobody. Deion don't tackle. And he didn't. He didn't. Thoughts and prayers to him having his foot amputated. Deion, if you need any help understanding what's going on from the blood clots and everything on your foot, call my man D2 Stu. He's been through what you've gone through, but even worse. And he is doing great. So definitely, Deion, pick up the phone. Give D2 Stu a call, and he can help you with your situation. All right, so back to Amari Cooper. It feels like the Dallas Cowboys are dealing with the culture issue of what Jerry Jones and crew deemed their guys. You know, we used to have Garrett guys. You know, Des Bryant didn't feel like he was a Garrett guy, in which case he was the odd man out. You know, he called Sean Lee Snake Lee, and of course Jason Witten and him, they had different falling outs and stuff, that he wasn't the right culture that they're looking for. And it feels like the Cowboys are getting rid of people based on their culture or their attitude towards the management. I may be completely wrong here, but you look at who they're fielding calls for in trades. Lyle Collins. Lyle Collins, right now, who is a former Pro Bowl, I believe Pro Bowl. Has he made the Pro Bowl? He should have been a Pro Bowler, but ranked as one of the better tackles in football. I will say that Lyle Collins isn't as good as he was a couple years ago. I will say that Lyle Collins, missing the whole year before with hip issues and being overweight. I will say Lyle Collins missing 7 games because he failed to take drug tests when he was supposed to, that he had fallen out of favor for the Cowboys. And when your play comes back down a little bit, and your best ability is your availability, the Cowboys may look at that and say, yeah, we can trade you and try and get something else. Amari Cooper, of course, the disagreements, of course, and the things that are going on with the Cowboys organization are saying, you know what, let's get rid of him. We'll get some money. Maybe we can trade him. And right now, of course, you're hearing yesterday we're trying to reconcile and bring him back, which means kind of like Pete Carroll said, we're not trading, or we're not interested in trading Russell Wilson, which means we're interested in trading Russell Wilson. You got to make a good offer to get Russell Wilson. So take this, Amari Cooper is coming back, with a grain of salt of us trying to sweeten the pot in getting a trading partner. We hear that the Browns are really interested in him. We hear that the Broncos are really interested in Lyle Collins taking a spot there to help protect Russell Wilson. And I believe the Cowboys are looking at this as, if we can move on to these contracts and get some draft picks, we're so good at drafting. We did so great at turning our defense around last year that we can do the same thing. We can do the same thing this year. All we need are the draft picks, and we're going to win. So the question is, because this is where the Dallas Cowboys have divided up all of us fans. You know, we've got people that say, yeah, let him walk, man. Get rid of Amari, man. He gives up on plays. They're following the narrative. Others that say Dak Prescott will be ass without Amari Cooper, that Amari Cooper made him, to the point where you almost think that Amari Cooper was coaching him how to throw the football, or maybe that Amari Cooper was throwing the football to himself to make those plays. I'm going to go on the other part of this and say that, yes, Amari Cooper is a very talented wide receiver, and that Amari Cooper, his numbers went way up versus before he came with the Cowboys as well. I think Dak and Amari made each other. And I will also go on and say it's not a surprise that the Cowboys' receiving core and passing game was hurting before Amari Cooper. When you look at the players that were around them, let's be honest here. I want you to think about this now. What talent did we have as far as a pass catcher? It's not like we had, Dez Bryant in his heyday, or if we had a Julio Jones that were there for the Cowboys in 2018 to start that season. The best name player that was there would probably be Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup, his rookie year coming to Dallas, he had 33 catches on the season. Still wet behind the ears the beginning of the 2018 season. Wasn't ready to get a contract extension like he is now. Cole Beasley, he's a nice receiver. Cole Beasley's a nice receiver. Let's actually go in here and get all the receivers. We had Cole Beasley, who did have 87 targets and 65 receptions, 10.3 yards. Cole Beasley is not a deep threat. Cole Beasley is a possession receiver. 65 catches is pretty good. I'm not going to say that it's not. But if you think that Cole Beasley is your best receiver on your roster, and then everybody else is chopped liver, Michael Gallup was a rookie, just learning the offense. Your tight ends, just listen to this. Check this out. Blake Jarwin, Golf Swam, and Dalton Schultz were your tight ends. And this isn't Dalton Schultz that's now had a few years and become a really good weapon. Dalton Schultz had 12 catches for 116 yards. You also had a Miami player who was coming off of bad years where they got rid of him. He only had one good season, one really great season. He was one of our better receivers with 20 catches. Allen Hurns messed up his ankle, much like Dak did. He did go back to Miami for one more year. Not a great receiver. He's out of the NFL. Blake Jarwin, okay, we franchise tagged him. He's getting better now. 2018, he was wet behind the ears. Golf swam, not in the league anymore. I don't know that he was on a team after the Cowboys. And Deontay Thompson with 14 catches. So the premise of saying that Amari Cooper, that solely Amari Cooper, if he goes, that Dak will go back to these kinds of numbers. I dare say that we have more talent at receivers without Amari Cooper now than we did before. At least Blake Jarwin has developed into a pass-catching possession tight end. Got to look at that. If Michael Gallup comes back healthy to start the season, Michael Gallup is a much better receiver now than he was in 2018, still wet behind the ears. And you have to say that CeeDee Lamb is far and away better than Allen Hurns or Cole Beasley, without a doubt. So I believe the offense will definitely take a hit of not having Amari Cooper. But one other point I want to bring up, too, and I didn't pull this up, but let's take a look. Sorry I didn't have this already pulled up. But if you go to Pro Football Reference here, stat-wise of Amari Cooper, take a look right here. If you look at it, 2015 with Oakland, 14.9 yards per pass completion, incredible. 1,070 yards, 72 receptions. The next year, 1,153 yards, 13.9 yards. Still, great season. But you look at what happened in Oakland after that, he ended up dropping to 14.2, 680, and that's when they deemed he kind of started checking out. The next year, he dropped down to 13.4, and a lot of that was because of what he was doing in Dallas, because he was literally catching 22 passes in the 6 games that he played with Oakland, 12.7. He goes to the Cowboys. It jumps up by a full yard in the middle of that season. So you could almost look at it and say, with Dak and Amari, did Dak help to make Amari the receiver he is as well? I know haters are going to say, no, you're full of crap. But you start looking at the numbers where he's got 15.1 yards per completion and stuff. His best numbers and statistics have been with Dak. I'll give you one more here. Because here's where we can kind of measure. Let's take Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb, who was with the Green Bay Packers. Okay? And you can see 2011, 15 yards per pass completion. 11.9, 14, 14.1. You could almost say that was the pinnacle for Randall Cobb. All of a sudden, he dropped down to 10, 10, 10, 10, 9, 10, right? And Green Bay figured he's finished. He's having injury issues. His numbers have declined. And then all of a sudden, he goes to Dallas. He has the highest pass completion number of his career, 15.1, has 828 yards, the most he had since 2015. And had it not been for some BS calls, he would have had 3 more touchdown receptions and probably 1,000 yards, plays that were called back. And then he goes to Houston, becomes the number 1 target for Deshaun Watson, another quarterback that they say is better than Dak Prescott, but immediately drops down to 11.6 with Deshaun Watson throwing to him. And then this year, he goes back to Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, the bad man, okay, the MVP, and his numbers are 1.5 yards less per completion than they were with Dak Prescott. So you have to ask, did Dak make Amari, or did Amari make Dak, or did they make each other? And so that's the question that you have to ask on this. We definitely have better talent now than we did in 2018 when Amari Cooper came in. The Cowboys recognized we don't have enough talent at wide receiver, which was the reason why they brought him in. So take that however you want to. And this is the latest word, at least from Jane Slater and the NFL Network.
Russell Wilson. They also released the heart of their defense, Bobby Wagner, who took to social media to reveal that, shockingly, he found out about his release the same way that we did. So here's B-Wags' tweet here. Crazy part about all this, I played there for 10 years, and I didn't even hear it from them that I wasn't coming back. You know what? Ouch. I would probably tweet that too. I get it, Bobby Wagner. But you know what? We are here to lift you up, brother, because we know what you got. So where to? What's next for Bobby Wagner? I hear some rumors that it could be Dallas. The offensive side of the ball. Cowboys fans looking for a little bit of a resolution here on Amari Cooper, Lyle Collins situations. What more can you tell us on that front?
Yeah, this week I've just been walking into Twitter and walking right back out because Cowboy fans have been frustrated and scratching their heads with some of these moves as it relates to the Cowboys. We've been talking a lot about what are they going to do with Amari Cooper, their wide receiver. This is a very high-impact player who has really been a reliable target for them on offense, and sure, it cost him a first-round pick a few years ago, but he really changed the trajectory of that group. Still, they were able to get CeeDee Lamb in the draft 2 seasons ago, and they are working on getting this deal with Michael Gallup signed. Sure, again, they'd love to keep Amari Cooper in Dallas, but when they did that contract a few years back, they gave themselves a bit of an out here, and if he is still on the books on March 20th, they're on the hook for $20 million. So they are trying to move him, and you're seeing reports blurry today on Twitter about interest of other teams in Amari Cooper. I've been told by some of my sources that there have been multiple teams calling. We'll see if other teams consider it making more sense to give up a pick and try and renegotiate this contract with them than compete for it on the open market. As for Lyle Collins, he's another one that they've been fielding calls on, and I've been told multiple calls from teams. This is a player that stands to make $10 million next season. He's only 29 years old. The frustrating part for the Cowboys was he didn't play in 2020. Then he came to the Cowboys, ended up on IR. After that, he decided to battle a 2-game suspension, which ended up leading to 5 after it was revealed that he allegedly bribed a testing administrator. And so those 5 games allowed his understudy, Terrence Steele, to shine. And while they thought about the possibility of moving along that offensive line to another position, it just makes sense to have him at right tackle. And given how valuable he is, the Cowboys are trying to see what they can get as a result.
Jane, I'm not going to lie. When I hear these Amari Cooper trades and, releasing Amari Cooper, I get out of Twitter, too, because I'm like, man, what are they thinking? This is a bona fide #1 wide receiver when he is healthy. And to be honest, you have Gallup coming off of an ACL injury. We don't know how he's going to return or when he's going to get back to form. So that leaves CeeDee Lamb out there by himself if you trade or release Amari Cooper. And that is not going to help CeeDee Lamb, and it's not going to help Dak Prescott. Jane, you touched on it. When Amari Cooper hit the scene in Dallas, the offense got 10 times better. It was immediate separation, immediate big-time plays on the offensive side. Dak Prescott knew that if it was one-on-one, Amari Cooper was going to win. Now, if you get him out of that offense, Zeke is not playing to the level that you want him to play, and you only have CeeDee Lamb out there. I don't know how this offense looks. And especially you don't have Gallup. You might not have him early parts of the season. I don't know how this offense looks. I hope and pray they find a way to restructure, keep him there, and find a way to get this done, to have him out there in that Cowboys offense. Because if he's gone, I'm worried for Dak Prescott and this offense.
All right. So let me clarify something here, because Jane Slater says that he's scheduled to make $10 million this year, which is true. He's scheduled to make $10 million. That's his base salary. But what you have to understand is his cap number, because that's the only number that really matters, is how much is it going to cost me on the cap. And because the Cowboys, which do this on a regular where they restructure contracts, restructured his contracts because they're broke ass. It's a payday loan. So his cap number for this year is $15.25 million. It's not $10 million. See, oh, it's just $10 million. No, it's not. It's $15 million because of mismanagement from the Cowboys. Now, here's the problem. If you cut him, just straight up cut him, you owe him $13.95 million in dead money, and you only have a cap saving of 1.3 if you make him a post-June 1st cut. And you've got to do this, of course, before the deadline. You save $10 million in cap savings, but you still incur a $5.2 million dead money because of the restructuring. Because understand, people think, oh, well, he's a team player because he restructured his contract. No, it's not like he gave money back. Okay, that's when they redo the contract. Restructure is we're going to take some of the money that we owe you now, and we're going to kick the paperwork on it down the road. It's kind of like depreciating a house. Well, they depreciate it, and then they put the money down the road. At some point, those bills come due. In the same way, if you put bills on the house and you sell it later, well, when you sell the house, you got to pay all that old debt. And the Cowboys, if they cut him, are going to have to pay that old debt on him, D-Law, anybody else that they have restructured. You have to pay that balance when it's due. So that's where we have everything else. And I actually had another thought on maybe one of the reasons why Amari Cooper has fallen out of favor. And I've got to think about this some more with the Dallas Cowboys. And I'll definitely bring it back to you a little later. But with that being said, I'm going to check out the snow that's falling out here. And I got work to do in the workshop for you guys. And I've been on here for the last 20 minutes. News could have broke on the Cowboys the way things are going right now. So I need to check the headlines. But we will be here, making sure you're up to date.
Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.